for someone to win a gymnastics gold medal in Atlanta, here he is, Igor Korobchinsky. He was 20 years old when he became world champion, competing under the Soviet flag. He was part of one of the greatest gymnastics teams ever at the Olympics in '92. It was the unified team then, but that glory is now just a memory. Today he leads a new young Ukrainian team. And the U.S. men, hoping to prove they belong among the world's best, hungry for respect. But except for one Olympic veteran, they are mostly young hopefuls. John Rothlisberger leads this team more by default than choice. He was in the stands watching more than a decade ago when 6 U.S. men won Olympic gold. That memory is now a burden that rests heaviest on the shoulders of John Rothlisberger. He has been a champion and has seen it all disappear. In a country hungry for medals and victories, the question is when? When will the U.S. men again stand tall in gymnastics?
I think some of the guys on the team need to realize that they got to get their ass in gear. And it's a year away. And I know what I want to do. I want an Olympic medal. And I think I can do it.
Hello everyone and welcome to San Jose for the first ever dual meet between the United States and the Ukraine. Tom Hammond with Elfie Schlegel and Tim Daggett. And Tim, I guess for the next year between now and the Atlanta Olympics, John Rothlisberger and really this entire U.S. team are in a search for respect.
Well, they certainly are, and they have a great opportunity to get a little bit of it here today. They're competing against the third best team in the world, but it's not going to just happen. Where the U.S. team has faltered as of late is consistency. They've got to go out there and hit sets if they want to win the competition here today. But, you know, John Rothlisberger, that has been his biggest trademark, consistency. He's on a fantastic roll this year, winning the McDonald's American Cup and leading the U.S. team to a Pan American gold medal. But I have a question here for Elfie. Elf, do you think that John is looking at today's competition as an opportunity or an obstacle competing against former world champion in the all-round, Igor Korobchinsky?
Well, Tim, I think anytime you have a chance to compete with world champions one-on-one on home turf, you have to take advantage of the situation and look at it as a total opportunity. As you said, John Rothlisberger has been on a roll this year. He has a chance to size up his talents against the '89 world champion, Igor Korobchinsky. He's been around the sport for a long time, but more importantly, this guy is a contender for the Atlanta Olympics.
And today we'll be choosing both team and individual all-round champions. Each team competing separately on floor exercise, pommel horse, still rings, vault, parallel bars, and horizontal bars. 6 different events. Here's John Rothlisberger.
John and the entire U.S. team starting on the pommel horse event, tricky event, very critical timing involved, similar to the women's balance beam. Anything can happen here. This is not one of John's strongest events, but as we said at the top of the show, his trademark is consistency, and that's what he's looking for in this exercise here.
And so are the judges, 5 of them, 2 from the Ukraine, 2 from the U.S., and a superior judge from a neutral country.
Got to get a big, huge circle going right from the start. John working well thus far. Show us his flare circles here. A little bit of a struggle. As I said, he's really not going to knock your socks off with this exercise, but doesn't really give anything away. Little bit off balance here. He's struggling. Oh boy.
And Tim, a huge struggle at the end of his routine, and we know John Rothlisberger, it's all written all over his face. he takes his competitions very seriously, and this can't help well for his confidence heading into that next event.
Alfie, I would say that mistake, exactly, that's exactly what I was going to say, running out of gas. His dad and coach, Fred Rothlisberger, pinpointing right here that his son is just a little bit tired. I tell you, I don't know, that doesn't bode too well. This is the first event of the competition. Shouldn't be so tired.
That's right. If anyone should be tired, it should be the Ukrainians. It took them 36 hours to get to San Jose. And there it is, 9.5 out of a possible 10 for Rothlisberger on the Pommel horse.
Good job.
Well, that's exactly what John Rothlisberger is all about. Really doesn't do the hardest things, but as Fred said right there, really doesn't have the big deductions either.
And his rival, Igor Koropchinsky, will begin with his floor exercise.
Tom, this is definitely the highlight of this competition. This guy is a 3-time world champion on this exercise, and watch his opening tumbling pass.
This is amazing. Talk about picking your spots in the all-around where you can shine, and right here, oh, baby. He's as powerful as anybody in the world. Kind of makes everybody look a little silly at times. Things look a little too easy for Igor. So you got to remember, an all-around competition, 6 events. It's a long race. Got to pick your spots where you shine. Sometimes you play the rules a little bit. Maybe do a routine that has a pretty good start value, but not the hardest stuff like we just saw from John Rothlisberger, or an all-out set like this. Up until that point, it was an all-out set. Igor always trying to make me a little bit of a liar, bit of a stumble there. But as I said, he's a go-for-it kind of guy. Many people will be happy to mount with this double layout somersault and a great landing.
He's absolutely amazing. This guy has not lost any of his degree of difficulty. As difficult a routine as back in '89 when he won that first floor world title.
So check this out. This is amazing. He'll do 2 flips completely straight, but he'll also add a full twist to it. This is so hard. And he lands flawlessly. Easiest pass in his entire routine. He bends his knees. They should be straight. I just think this is a little bit of lack of concentration.
And obviously that will affect his final score. Koropchinsky on the floor exercise, 9.45. Still a good score. Now back to the Americans on the Pommel horse. Here's Mihai Beju.
Tom, it's back to business for the Americans. They need a big score from Mihai. He is national champion on this event and quite capable of bringing this score back up.
And he really will show us exactly what Pommel horse is all about. This is a very strong one for Mihai. He'll try to capitalize. Beautiful long swings. That's what you're looking for. And he'll also show us a lot of one pommel work. He'll stay on this pommel right here. This is very difficult. A little bit off there, however. But this is what horse is all about. Staying on that one pommel, showing a beautiful body line. And
very uncharacteristic for Beju on his best apparatus.
Yeah, this just can't happen. Beju's best event here, the pommel horse. You see him falter right from the beginning, hurting his all-around chances and devastating for the team effort for the USA. Bad news. And I got to tell you, this is not where Mihai shines. After he's had a mistake, it's very difficult for him to get back on track. And I can't say that I'm shocked here, because we've seen it happen time and time again. When he runs into a problem, he just seems to really, really struggle to get going again.
Well, a disaster for Beju and the entire American team on that pommel horse routine.
You know, when you fall on your best event, it kind of takes you out of the all-around. And when your team was counting on you for a big score, it really hurts. We'll see exactly what happens here. He's just totally off balance. His shoulders should remain over the horse, and he's just way off. There is no way he can hold on. Once again, I don't think this had very much to do with anything except for he was a little bit rattled from the first mistake. just doesn't put his hand down definitively, and it slips off the horse. First one's a shocker, second one's concentration, I think.
8.5 for Beju on the Pommel horse. So after the first rotation in the individual battle, John Rothlisberger with a slight lead. And in the team competition, the Ukrainians, 46.95 to 45.75 for the U.S. Second rotation coming up when we return to San Jose. Welcome back to the Budget Rent-A-Car Invitational in San Jose, and a chance to see one of the up-and-coming Ukrainian gymnasts. This is 19-year-old Oleg Kosiak in one of his very first international meets.
Tom, real impressive gymnastics here. You know, he says that pommel horse is his least favorite event, but you know, it takes 6 for 6 to win an all-around competition. I'm sure the team would like to see a big score here.
And right there is why it's his least favorite event. Struggles right off the bat, and that type of a form deduction isn't because he's off, it's because he's nervous. Just not as confident here. Kind of holds back right there, being a little bit careful on his scissors. But a beautiful dismount, hop right to a handstand.
Interesting that he didn't let that mistake completely throw it.
That's exactly right, and it's a very important characteristic for any athlete, especially in the team competition. If you have a mistake, you got to get right back on track. Here is where he had his problem. His leg will brush up against the horse right there. Legs come apart. That's the deduction. But this is critical. He gets right back on track, back to a good circle, nice form, and hits the rest of the way through.
9.20 for Kosiak on the Pommel horse.
Not a great score, but later on we'll see his strengths, and he's got lots of them.
The Americans have moved to the still rings, and here's Stanford University student Josh Stein. And it has to be pretty disconcerting to these athletes. There is nobody in the San Jose arena. Look at all the empty seats. Very little advance publicity and a very, very disappointing crowd.
A lot of people disappointed with the turnout for the audience, the athletes as well. And this is an event right here where you like to have people screaming for you because strength is the key, and that adrenaline certainly helps. Critical that these positions are exact. He should be horizontal exactly. They're being much more strict in gymnastics now, and that was not a long enough hold. Two things we're looking for: exact positions and 2-second holds on all of the strength parts. It's where the American team will struggle a little bit today. Full twisting double somersault and a good landing. But once again, those strength parts, they're critical, and they should have been better than that.
Stein there with Fred Rothlisberger, one of the U.S. coaches, also coaching today his son John. Now back to the Pommel horse, where the Ukrainians send Vladimir Shemenko from Kiev. And his father also one of the Ukrainian coaches, is that correct?
That's correct. Family affair of gymnastics here. This really not one of Vladimir's strongest events either. Now you're seeing the same skill done twice. New trend in gymnastics, basically capitalizing on the code. A little bit of a struggle there. Really doesn't have the same big swing that we saw from Mihai Beju, even though Mihai fell. This is definitely not one of the strongest events. And
Tim, it's been the curse of the pommel horse today. Even you've compared it to the women's balance beam as far as a concentration factor.
yeah, that fall right there, though, that's really inexcusable for an athlete of his level. He's not even doing a difficult element. I don't know, maybe it is the jet lag, maybe he's a little bit nervous, but shouldn't have a fall. He's almost done, basically just got to get off the horse right there. He was done at that point, and he fell. Shouldn't happen.
He was a member of that Ukrainian team that finished third, taking the bronze medal at the World Championships last year.
So this is exactly where he falls, and he has like half a skill left to remain on the pommel horse, and shoulders just way too far back.
Shemenko 8.70. That ends any chance he has of the all-round title and will hurt his team as well. Meanwhile, Josh Stein, a smile for a 9.25 on the still rings. Next, we'll see Igor Korobczynski on the pommel horse. Igor may have been thinking about a meet in this town 5 years ago. The first time Igor was in San Jose, he was the reigning world champion. And this is what happened to him. Igor decided to dump the deaf from his repertoire after that.
We'll come on a little closer, let me see your face.
Now with 7 world and Olympic gold medals, Igor's life is not just about gymnastics.
I am not married, but I have mother and father. And dog.
What's the dog's name?
Oh, name of kind. It's Doberman. Yeah, big one. Like me, crazy.
Crazy. And in second place behind John Rothlisberger right now. We'll be back with his pommel horse routine in just a moment. The Budget Rent-A-Car Invitational continues. John Rothlisberger leading the all-round competition after the first rotation. This is the U.S. against the Ukraine. The U.S. men with something to prove. The 9th best team in the world entering this meet, while the Ukrainians won the bronze medal at the World Championships last year. Rothlisberger, the leader, now on the still rings. Is this one of his best events?
Well, he's much stronger here than we saw him on pommel horse. And, you know, the thing I find interesting is John definitely took his time there, didn't he? He wasn't going to let anybody, the announcers in the arena, the judges rush him. He's going to go when he's good and ready. Exact positions. Talked about it earlier. That was pretty good. Strength by far the most critical aspect on the still rings. He's got a couple strength parts coming up right here. He'll swing to them, which makes it more difficult. Little bit of a struggle. These are called inverted crosses, and not quite long enough on that second one, and nowhere near long enough on that L cross. Has a big dismount remaining. Double twisting, double somersault. A little bit short, but a good recovery. He looks just tired today, Tom.
Now, why would that be?
You know, I don't really know. I think that maybe the training situation that he's in, he's at maybe the wrong time of the year for a competition. Watch right here, though. He's supposed to hold this for 2 full seconds, and we're talking slow-mo, and we're not even talking 2 seconds right there.
You can see the strain on his face, too.
A little bit frustrated, I think, at that point.
9.55 for Rothlisberger. That could keep him still in front. We'll see how Korobczynski fares on the pommel horse, tied for second after that first rotation.
Well, Tom, both teams have had their problems on pommel horse, but Igor needs this routine, more importantly, for the individual all-around competition.
And he does exactly what I said is important. Look at all this one pommel work, beautiful extended body. Now he's going to stay on, and he is really off balance. I cannot believe he stayed on. That difficult work I spoke of, staying on one pommel. But he's a champ, man. Many other gymnasts would have been off the horse in no time. Great recovery.
He really fought through that potential fall, didn't he?
That's experience.
I tell you, he kind of waves a little bit there. He's laughing. His teammates are going, man, I can't believe he didn't fall. I finally thought I was going to beat Igor in this competition, and he says, no way. Right there, he's just way off balance.
And what an example to his young Ukrainian teammates. This is a brand new country, a brand new team, and very fortunate to have a veteran champion like Korobczynski. 9.50 on the Pommel horse, so Rothlisberger will remain in front in the individual battle after 2 rotations as we look at John McCready, young American with the still ring routine.
And this is not John's strongest event. He is a little bit weak physically. As a matter of fact, his coach, Vitaly Marinich, who is a Ukrainian himself, competed on their last world team, won a bronze medal on that team, said John needs to improve his strength to be a better all-round gymnast. He'll start off with a strength part, as many athletes are doing nowadays, right off the bat. Kippel cross, and remember, positions are critical. He's a little bit high there, but not bad. John's routine revolves around a very unique skill. Comes right here, and oh, I can't look at his arm is caught on the rings in a way I have never seen before. He's got to get off. He can't believe it. It's like, what happened there?
We don't need that.
Now, it may look like that wasn't John's fault, but let's take a look here. Exactly what happens, I don't even know. He just flips his ring over, and how did he do that? I don't know. Let's look one more time. The straps, of course, attached to the ring. He flips over. He's got to turn the ring around. And right there, as he's flipping the ring, he doesn't get them out to the side enough, and that nylon webbing that's holding the ring just lodges itself between the ring and John's arm, and he is stuck in a big way.
Ouch.
Finishing after that is, it's a tough one because, like we said, he's one of the young athletes for the U.S. team, and he's struggling again right there. He's having a rough time. This is not good. All that swing. It's like, what exactly to do? This event is called the Still Rings, and not today for John McCready.
A sigh of relief.
Yeah, he just wanted to get that one over with.
Fault, okay?
All right?
So after 2 rotations, the individual battle between Rothlisberger and Korobczynski is joined. The American Rothlisberger with a slight lead. And in the team competition, the Ukrainians continue to lead the U.S. 92.75 to 91.50. John Rothlisberger, 3-time U.S. national champion, 3-time NCAA champion. Can he hold off the former world champion, Igor Korobczynski? Back in San Jose, Vladimir Shemenko in 7th place after the first 2 rotations as the Ukrainians have moved to the still rings.
Struggled a little bit on the pommel horse, but I think this is one of the most interesting routines of the entire competition. It's jam-packed with difficulty and some very unique combinations.
Shemenko really has battled injury through his career.
Complains of back problems, a little bit of pain. Pressured a little bit by his father to continue to compete, he says. But check this out right here. This is amazing. Laid out 2 in a row. And he's not done. Another one that is so difficult. Double laid out somersault. Hop on the landing and a step back, but so difficult. The exercise was so difficult. It's really a shame, though, that dismount going to cost him a couple tenths. But look at this here. It's a laid out Gutsogi. Only one other gymnast in the world, maybe 2, performing it. Nobody doing it like that, though. Great element.
Shemenko's score, 9.45. Seems a shame that dismount marred the routine. Now John Rothlisberger is the leader, and he moves to the vault.
And Tom, unlike the women in their competition, the men are only allowed 1 vault, just 1 shot at this.
This is an John's best event. He doesn't do the most difficult vault out there. Therefore, it is so critical that what he does it perfectly. Very good lander on this event. Oh, but not today. That is not a great vault for John Rothlisberger. He needs to stick that landing. It's critical. Doesn't really get the big push that he needs. Not quite as high, but a nice body position. And of course, that hop on the landing, that's 0.2 of a point.
And his score only a 9.30, so that will open the door for Korobczynski perhaps to take over the individual lead. And in 5th place after the first 2 rotations, 19-year-old Kasiak.
And you know, I talked a little bit earlier about the importance of the strength positions and the duration of the holds. Crosses need to be level, and holds have to be 2 seconds. This is where the Ukrainians have been a little bit stronger today. Beautiful position on that L cross.
And Tim, you can't help but notice how these Ukrainians pay attention to the smallest detail. Their form is impeccable.
Shoulders, feet should be in perfect alignment with the rings. He's fairly level.
Oleg's first appearance in a televised meet, and he's making a name for himself.
Another big skill there. Once again, that Kutsogi. Just the dismount. Nice pike half and half out and a good landing.
Could be a star in the making here. And giving his team a boost with that routine. Ukrainians leading the team competition. Josh Stein of the U.S. will try to pull the Americans closer with his vault routine. Kasiak with a good performance on the still rings. His score 9.60.
And that is going to make things much more difficult for the Americans. They don't have the strongest vaulting team, but Josh will do a very interesting vault. He'll turn himself around onto the board. Oh, he is way off. That is so bad.
Tim, he didn't even do the vault he was supposed to perform.
His steps obviously way off on the run, and he aborts the vault, and you just cannot do that.
And on every apparatus, we've seen at least one American flop.
A gymnast's worst nightmare, messing up their run.
Right here, they get all messed up, and he's actually fearful. He's not even going to get his hands on the horse. He's supposed to do a complete front somersault off of the horse there. And as I said, he just pulls up and stops. And that score, 8.0, that's a gift in itself.
Korobczynski with a chance to overtake Rothlisberger in the individual all-round competition.
And this is an event where you're not going to see an athlete like Korobczynski falter. Very steady event for someone of his caliber and experience. Little bit high on that first strength part, though, I got to tell you. He has a great presence on the still rings. Arms are very locked out, very crisp movements. Does his dismount as well as anybody in the world. Straight body. Oh, just a little bit of a shimmy on that landing there. Certainly good enough to take the lead, I would say, at this point over John Rothlisberger. One more time, the dismount. Just a little bit too much rotation and has to take that hop back. Small 1/10 of a point deduction.
And Korobczynski's score 9.45 on the still rings. That means that he takes the lead over this man, John Rothlisberger of the United States. Of course, the team competition continues, and the U.S. has been making those critical mistakes you said they must avoid. Here's Jay Thornton with his vault.
And even more critical than avoiding one mistake, in gymnastics, you see, you throw out the lowest score. So when you have one mistake, it's not so damaging. However, if you have an event where more than one athlete fall, then it's devastating because you're counting that low score. Jay will also do that round off onto the board here. And oh, jeez, I cannot believe he got that to his feet. His left hand totally missed the horse, came right off the side.
And limping as he comes away. He's lucky it wasn't a major accident.
Tom, that could have been very serious.
You know, there's absolutely no room for error on this style of vaulting.
You'll watch that left arm completely slides off the horse, and because of it doesn't get the push he needs, and he takes a really strong landing there.
I think turned his ankle as he landed too.
Here's the run.
Oh, and maybe turned his ankle on his approach.
A little bit of a roll there and just way off to the side. I can't believe he made it all the way around. That's a little bit of a credit right there to Mr. Jay Thornton.
But a severe blow to the U.S. team as Thornton given an 8.95 on his vault. In a moment, a look at the women's competition. U.S. champion Dominique Dawes. And San Jose's own Amy Chow. Welcome back to San Jose, where earlier the U.S. women took on their Ukrainian counterparts. At 17 years of age, Amy Chow is an accomplished pianist. She's studied since age 6 and is well known here in her hometown of San Jose. But her reputation as a gymnast is reaching greater proportions. This weekend, she hung up her first all-round medal in major international competition. And in doing so, defeated the reigning U.S. champion, Dominique Dawes.
And Tom, you could see it coming a year ago. Amy Chow has more talent than her coach even knows what to do with. She has skills on this event, which is considered one of her strongest, that she's brought back from the early and late 70s, the Stalder combination right here. Her swing is unbelievable, and she proved this in her first event of the competition. There was never a doubt that she would hit this routine.
So shy and soft-spoken, you have to lean close when she speaks. It's really amazing that she can take on an individual event like this and excel.
Absolutely flawless, and she caps it off with a very exciting double twisting double dismount.
To the delight of her mom, Susan. Susan born in Hong Kong, Amy's dad Nelson born in China. They met at San Jose State University, and now Dominique Dawes, the U.S. champion, made history when she swept the all-round competition at the Nationals in Nashville last summer.
And Tom, I'm sure while Amy was on her high, Dominique had a few questions at the start of this competition. She is making a comeback to international competition. Here's a skill at the top of her routine that she unveiled at the World Championships in 1994. Absolutely awesome. And there was never any doubt in my mind that she would come back as strongly as she did in this team competition. Perfect execution. You sit back and you watch an athlete like Dominique Dawes, and you just know she's so full of confidence that she is going to hit. And then she caps off her routine in fine, awesome Dawson style and just nails that landing.
Dominique would win the uneven bar competition. But one routine that had everyone talking was from a Ukrainian gymnast. This is Anna Mirgordskaya, who was third in last year's Ukrainian national championships in the all-round competition.
Couldn't help but notice the unique elements in her bar routine. Talk about innovation. Tom, just an incredible display of innovation, great skills and release skills. One of the up-and-coming stars on this team, certainly. Impeccable form and a super dismount.
Amy Chow was battling for the lead, approaching the balance beam competition, and what was going through her mind? Perhaps it was last November at the World Championships, Amy's international coming out party. It began with a disaster and just got worse. Six falls in all. But by the end of the meet, Amy had recovered and was able to perform well, helping the U.S. team finish second. Though Amy had made her presence known, there was no question the star was Dominique Dawes. Beating her would be a milestone in Amy's career, and the beam proved to be crucial in their head-to-head competition in San Jose.
The reigning national champion may have experienced some uncharacteristic misses here, but that's just all part of getting back into the competition mode. Dominique will be back.
In the floor exercise, both Dominique and Amy unveiled some new routines, and we'll take a look at them.
We saw a whole new maturity level in Amy Chow's performance, great difficulty, and a new exercise that she can certainly grow with.
And Dominique Dawes, who would win the floor exercise with this routine.
Gymnastics, coached by Kelly Hill, Dominique Dawes.
Dawes still the one to beat for the U.S. all-around title later this summer. But Amy Chow, the all-around winner, and she spoke with Mary Ann Grabavoy.
Amy, congratulations. More pressure performing in your own backyard, or did you really like winning the all-around gold here?
Well, the crowd was really supportive, and it was fun out there.
A new floor routine today. I know your coaches were extremely nervous. Were you, and how did you feel you did with it?
Well, I have new passes and a new floor routine, so I was, I guess, pretty nervous, but I went out there and did what I knew that I could do.
First time you've ever beaten Dominique Dawes. Did you think you could do that?
No, my goal here was to hit my routines, and that's what I did.
Amy Chow telling her hometown fans and the world, "I'll see you in Atlanta," as the U.S. women defeat the Ukrainians. Still to come, John Rothlisberger and the U.S. men. Can they defeat the young Ukrainian team, led by their veteran former world champion, Igor Korobchinsky? Going into the fourth of 6 rotations at the Budget Rent-A-Car Invitational, the Ukrainians lead the U.S. behind veteran Olympian and world champion Igor Korobchinsky. John Rothlisberger of the U.S. had the individual all-round lead after the first 2 rotations, but fell behind Korobchinsky after the 3rd event. Meanwhile, young Oleg Kosyek opened eyes with his still rings routine and has advanced to 4th in the all-round competition. The Ukrainians move to the vault, and we'll see Alexander Bogulia.
And this is a very interesting vault. The same vault we were supposed to see from Josh Stein. Remember in the last rotation, disaster for Josh Stein. Aborted his vault halfway down. He'll turn himself around on the board. No problems. Just the step on the landing, but completely different story from the Ukrainian that we saw from Josh Stein. Very critical. You have to get your hands exactly in the right place, as we've learned. Just holds on a little bit too long. This Ukrainian team is on a roll and pulling away from the U.S. team.
Bogulia 9.45, and they could be building an insurmountable lead over the U.S. here as Josh Stein gets ready to mount the parallel bars.
Once again, you always have to come back. Not only is Josh Stein competing for himself, but he's helping the U.S. team along, and after that difficult time on the vault, got to regain composure, get back on track. Right off the bat, small little balance checks there. That will cost him. New trend in gymnastics, going to 1 bar. He gained some bonus points for that type of maneuver. Also, big release skills like that. Oops. Kind of caught his foot a little bit there.
Josh needs 1 class to complete his requirements at Stanford, but will walk through graduation ceremonies tomorrow.
Just the dismount remaining. Double pike somersault and a step backwards. Not a bad exercise, but really not going to bring home the huge score. One of the new trends, as I said, is these big release type skills that are very similar to high bar. He does a nice one here, but watch, he catches his foot on the bar right there, bends his knees, and that is, of course, a deduction for both hitting the bar and then bending of the knees.
As you said, Tim, he struggled throughout the routine, but a really nice dismount. I couldn't help but notice the nice lift he gets on this double pike. Perhaps just a little bit too much of an over-rotation, just a small step.
Josh 9.30 on the parallel bars. Now here is Oleg Kosyek, who has everyone talking here in San Jose.
He really does some very exciting things. He'll show us a vault identical to what Olympic champion Vitaly Sherbo does. It's a double twisting Yurchenko. I know it sounds complicated, and folks, it is. He'll turn himself around, as our last vaulter did, and then leave the horse and do a complete layout with 2 twists. You know, this vault event has not been nice today. We saw 2 Americans struggle on this event, and once again, that horse is just not quite wide enough for these guys. Take a look at his right hand right here, just slides off the edge just a little bit, and that means he doesn't have enough power and enough rotation to get this around here. Let's take a look, probably get a better view right here. You see, he really doesn't have it all the way on the horse, doesn't get the usual push that he gets, and comes up short on the landing. That, of course, a big deduction to put both hands down.
And it makes his score only 8.85. And that could possibly leave the door open for the U.S. team. Meanwhile, John Rothlisberger continues to pursue the individual all-round title. We'll take a closer look at the University of Minnesota All-American when we return. John Rothlisberger has the desire to win, but when the heat is on, especially in international competition, something always seems to let him down. His face said it all 4 months ago. Finally, John Rothlisberger had arrived. Here's a guy who won his first national title at 20, but in one quick year, he went from champion to choke.
I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle being the defending champion. I thought if I didn't go in and win, I'd be a failure. I felt like everybody was looking to me to see if I would repeat, and I choked. I blew it.
Oh man, my head is killing me. Give me a smoke, man.
What do you do when you're 25 years old and your only job is training 6 hours a day in the gym? When you've lived those hours in the same gym for 22 years? When the only thing you've ever known is gymnastics.
Man, somebody open the window and time. Where am I anyway? How'd I ever get in here? And how the hell do I get out?
Where do you go when it's this bad? If you're lucky, you get a little help from your mom.
I was hoping I could take him, if I could rent a boat and take him water skiing and scare the hell out of him. You know, sometimes that'll shake something loose and you can come back down and get refocused. But he spent a lot of time looking around and just feeling lost.
Lost with no place to go but back to the gym where he was raised. When his parents were divorced, John was 3 years old. It was 1973 and John and his sister Marie lived with their dad.
Allowed custody for Fred because at that time in Minnesota the custody for the father was a new issue, and I was afraid to take on not knowing how I was going to survive. How would I survive with 2 small children? I needed to be on my own, but I didn't need to lose my children, and I don't feel I have.
Fred and John have spent their lives together and with gymnastics. Fred was an Olympian in 1968, and John was by his side every day while Fred coached at the University of Minnesota.
I couldn't find somebody to take care of John over the weekend. I'd have to stuff him in the back of the station wagon and take him along to Madison or Iowa City or wherever it was, but that might have been part of his discipline, too, because you had to behave a lot. Then I couldn't have him running around and being a They both got a lot of discipline. I ran it like a little regime at home, I guess, and a single parent usually does that because you don't have a lot of time to fool around. You have to have the kids toeing the line usually, just in order for everybody to get their jobs done. It was fun.
So here he is. John Rothlisberger has been on a direct path to right now. Will he again come up empty?
I tell you, you just get the sense that John is trying to live up to so much. First, the Rothlisberger family history, himself, and also being the leader on this team. It's a tremendous burden to bear. Sometimes it looks like it might be a little bit too much.
It shows up in his performances, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
And if there is an event that has let him down in the past, it has definitely been this one. No question it's been his nemesis.
He has struggled on the parallel bars, and when you have problems on an event, you're always searching, looking for that little thing that'll help take you over the top, and when you do that, you usually try to do new elements. And John will show us a few of them right here. A little bit rushed. Struggles a bit to get his legs through, and then drops them down. That, of course, is a deduction. Really just looks a little bit out of control, a little bit rushed in this exercise, and he misses his hand again. But a dismount, a good one. Just a small hop on the landing.
Yeah, Tim, I really got a sense that he just motored through this routine. I know it's new, but he didn't quite complete the elements.
Yeah, motored through, but like you said, everything was a little bit rushed, a little hurried, less practice than some of the other gymnastics John does. But you know, the key to a victory in the all-around, sometimes it's not all the little things. Sometimes it's putting everything together and not having the huge mistakes, and that is a quality that John Rothlisberger has. He fumbles his hand right there. Other gymnasts might have a disastrous fall right after that, but not John Rothlisberger. He gets it back together and just takes a small hop on the landing.
Pretty much show the heart of a champion fighting through those difficulties and recording a score of 9.40. That means Igor Korobczynski needs 9.375 to stay in front.
And this is a great event for Igor. Vaulting, it's all about speed down the runway and power, and he has both of them. If you're a great tumbler, and we said Igor was, you're usually a great vaulter. Huge push and a gigantic vault, but also a big
gigantic step.
You betcha. Yeah, that's a little cocky right there. Igor checking out exactly where he landed. The reason he's doing that is you get bonus points in gymnastics if you travel a long way on the vault, and he's making sure those judges realize just how far he went on this vault. Of course, that big step, but like I said, a huge, powerful vault.
And a score 9.60, which will keep Igor Korobczynski in front in the individual all-round competition, 0.25 ahead of John Rothlisberger. And in the team standings, the Ukrainians increase their lead over the U.S. We'll be back. U.S. team warming up on the horizontal bar. The U.S. team with nearly insurmountable task of overtaking the Ukrainians, but the individual all-round battle between John Rothlisberger and Igor Korobczynski remains close. And the surprise of the meet, 19-year-old Oleg Kosiak in contention for a medal in fourth place, now moving to the parallel bar.
And this guy has made a huge impression, not only with the audience, but I'm sure with the judges, his own coaches. Remember, very limited international experience. And Tim, he has a huge routine planned here.
Well, I love this kind of gymnastics. It is all out right from the beginning. New trend on parallel bars. The release skills, he'll do a few of them. Awesome. Second one comes in combination right here. Super difficult gymnastics. Only the dismount, and he's got a great set. Hop on the landing. Great routine. All-out gymnastics, the kind I like.
All out and super, super clean. Those skills were really difficult.
Can't tell from that physique, but he's a self-proclaimed chockaholic. On only his second trip to the U.S., he's made quite a splash.
So watch, he'll go right from a skill called a Healy twirl and do 1 3/4 flips, and bam, get those arms down and go right into a backup rise.
And his score on the parallel bars, 9.50. Next up, American Kip Simons, who competes for Ohio State, named after Kip Keino, the runner from Kenya that won a gold medal at the '72 Olympics. Kip Simons' parents were inspired by Keino's performance, and when their son was born that same year, named him in Keino's honor.
Also has some more Olympians in his gymnastics. His coach, Peter Corman, 1976 bronze medalist on floor exercise. Kip has one major release sequence. Sometimes struggles here. 2 in a row. That is the worst sound in gymnastics. It means 5/10 off, and you were in 6th place in the all-round, and now you're out of it. He has 30 seconds to get back up on the bar and get his composure together. Once again, trying to get back on track here. Just the dismount remaining. Not much in this routine without those releases. Big hop on the landing. You know, you have the option to repeat the element, but Kip isn't confident enough on them to go up there and try it one more time. Actually does the first one very well. Nice first release skill. Just lets go of the bar a little bit too early and not quite enough.
And unfortunately, that sort of sums up the performance of the U.S. team here today. With that belly flop, Simon's score, 8.55. Next, one of the U.S. hopes for the future, John McCready. The son of a producer and an actress, Hollywood's John McCready left home at 14 to train. His 6-year gymnastics journey has led him to the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs. He's coached there by Vitaly Marinich, the same Vitaly who won a team bronze medal at Worlds last fall. His team, Ukraine.
It's almost like I have someone on their team that's helping me kind of, and it's like my coach isn't looking over and going, I wonder what they're thinking. He knows exactly what they're thinking. He knows all of those people, what they're capable of doing. So I'm prepared, and he lets me know what's ahead of me.
With a Ukrainian coach who is just 3.5 years older than he is, John Mack is looking for a spot on the U.S. Olympic team.
And you know, Tom, things could get very interesting seeing that his coach, Marinich, has actually been toying with the idea of making a comeback for Atlanta.
Who will be John's coach then? Very intricate work John does at the beginning of his exercise. He's also planning 2 release skills in a row. Oh, little bit off. Decides to only do 1. High bar is you got to do these big, huge releases. Take the risk. And a big dismount. Great landing, but really not that difficult of an exercise. Needs to add that other release skill in there, and he knows it right there.
It's been a tough day for the U.S. team.
I didn't even know I had it. I thought I was off totally.
Welcome back to San Jose. Tom Hammond, Tim Daggett, Elfie Schlegel, Marianne Grabavoy. On the parallel bars, Shemenko of the Ukrainian team.
And the Ukrainians have basically wrapped up this team competition, and this exercise will really tell the story as why not only have they been a little bit more consistent here today, but they're doing bigger gymnastics. Harder elements right there. Also another big skill right here. They're getting the job done, and they're doing the right stuff. Couple steps in that handstand, double pike, and way off balance when he landed, but once again, no huge mistakes and good quality gymnastics.
Yeah, Tim, you can't help but notice that they are really the total package in terms of difficulty, form, style. They really put it all together.
Just was not ready for the ground there at all, though. Kind of like, oh, there it is. Thought it wasn't quite there yet.
And his score, 9.35. Well, the individual competition still close between Igor Korobczynski in first place and John Rothlisberger in second.
John planning on using this event a little bit as a practice for some new elements. And he's got his biggest new element planned on this event. Happens right in the beginning. It's a release skill, so it's a little bit risky. Here it is right here. And the twang of the bar says it all right there.
Want to do the sequence again? Or just the Jaeger? Sequence or the Jaeger? Which one? Full over to Jaeger.
Coach Fred telling John to move on, don't repeat the element. That pretty much means that the only way he can win this competition is if Korobczynski has a disastrous last two events. Once again, he's got to get back going again. He's got a big release skill again. Right here. Oh! He's got it. Had to stretch for that one, too. His dismount. Nice dismount, but 0.5 of a point when you fall off that apparatus. It's a shame because this is turning out to be John's best event. Used to be one of his weaker events. Here's that new element we talked about. What happens, he just is a little bit too crooked. He's close enough to catch the bar, but he doesn't get turned enough to hold on. Once again, though, that John Rothlisberger quality, get back up and finish your job. Other gymnasts fall apart. He goes up and finishes with a strong performance.
Oops. I got a headache this big.
Wait till he sees this score. 9.15.
That's how not to do it.
Yeah, that's a shame. As I said, 9.15. That would have been a 9.65. Would have been his strongest event.
What happened? Were you just crooked, or why was it? I thought you had both hands
crooked,
on.
and
Didn't you have
I had
both
to adjust my hand.
Oh, that's
Last
why
thing you want to think about is explain what went wrong right after it happened. Worst feeling in the world.
Oh, so your right hand. Okay. See, I was on the other side. I couldn't quite figure out why. I thought this one was close enough too, but that's all right.
And now the way is clear for Igor Korobczynski to take the all-round title. Rare to see blue skies in Northern California these days. Maybe that's why the crowd is so small at the Shark Tank, the San Jose Arena, home to the NHL San Jose Sharks. The U.S. team lodged firmly in second place now. They can't overtake the Ukrainians. It also appears that Igor Korobczynski would have the all-round title locked up if he can just stay on the bars.
Well, we thought John Rothlisberger was definitely in the hunt, but as Tim said, his only hope would be if this guy would falter, and we know that's not likely to happen. He's not going to give up this title very easily.
I think this is Igor's best event, personally. Beautiful work right there. He'll do that sequence one more time. Oh, he is in trouble. A lot of walking around there. Every time you move your hands, it's a 1/10 of a point. Covered nicely. Beautiful back toss. Dismount, double pipe, and he rocks the landing.
Tim, you know his teammates are on the sideline saying, how did this guy get through this routine again?
He didn't have a major fall on the event, but like I said, when you move your hands, it's a deduction on parallel bars every time you take a step.
Rothlisberger was watching. It wasn't a flawless performance by his rival, but probably good enough.
And Igor is not happy. And that score, 9.35, that is too high. Too high.
Next, Mihai Beju, who was born in Romania but moved to the United States when he was 8 years old. This is the most feared piece of equipment on the floor. Most gymnasts hate it. But Mihai Beju is the reigning national champion on pommel horse. So when he does this in the first rotation, the U.S. team is left hanging. At 24, Mihai is a husband and now a father. Gabriela Beju is just 2 months old. Mihai is learning how to balance finances, family, and gymnastics.
Well, right now it's tough to make ends meet. We do extra things like exhibitions where we can make some extra money. And we're always out looking for sponsors, personal sponsors, not from the federation. And it's really tough. It's hard to find companies that'll support you and get involved with the sport like gymnastics.
So as he tries to hang on to the horse these days, Mihai Beju has more on his mind than just pride.
This event really lends itself to Mihai's style. Has a long body, really shows it off on this event, and also does some of those big elements we've been talking about. You got to fly high on the high bar. Beautiful first release. Now this is incredible. So late in his routine. It's called a Kovacs. Tricky. Right on. Big dismount. 3 flips. 1, 2, 3. And a good landing. It's a world-class routine. We haven't seen too many of them from the U.S. team today, however. Big gymnastics and done well. This is that release skill I talked about. 1.5 flips over the bar. This is what gave Trent Dimas his gold medal in 1992 at the Olympic Games. And Mihai follows it with a triple back somersault. Just a little bit too long, but a good landing.
So one of the bright spots of the day, in fact, an emotional comeback as he records a 9.55 after that disastrous fall in his first event. The standings after 5 rotations. Korobczynski would appear to have it locked up with 1 to go over Rothlisberger and the Ukrainian team on its way to victory. We return to San Jose for our final rotation. And here is Oleg Kosiak of the Ukraine bidding for a bronze medal. He's currently in 3rd place.
One of the problems with the high bar event is you get those big points and you get the crowd and the judges behind you by doing those super risky elements. But they don't call them risky for nothing. He does 2 of them right here. Watch this in a row. Oh, that is awesome. I've said it before, I like this guy, I like his style. Complete go-for-itness. Great dismount. Just a hop on the landing. Guy has a great style for gymnastics. This release sequence is amazing. Not only does he do one of the most difficult releases by itself, right there, Kovacs, he's got to catch the bar, get his composure, and do another release, a full twist, right away. Very, very difficult.
Oleg is teaching himself English. He may need it next year in Atlanta. 9.40.
I don't know. I think that's a little low.
I'm happy.
So, but he's happy. He didn't mind.
I don't think he's seen the score yet.
Here's Josh Stein on the floor exercise.
Josh was 4th in the all-around at the Maccabea Games. Got a great mount. Watch this. He'll completely change direction, do a double backflip, and punch forward. Routine is a little bit different, not the exact same thing we've seen from a lot of gymnasts. It's a straddle plunge. It's a requirement to show some strength on the floor exercise. Right now, he is just saving his energy. He's got a very difficult dismount plan. Full twisting double somersault. Great landing. It's an excellent routine by Josh Stein. His best of the day. Last one, not a bad way to finish.
Might we see him in Atlanta?
Well, he has a good shot. Josh's best attribute, he's very consistent. Doesn't seem to get rattled by different situations. Look at the height here. But most importantly, Gymnastics 101, stick the landing.
So Josh Stein finishes with a flourish, 9.40. John Rothlisberger has had a difficult afternoon. Will likely finish second as Vladimir Shemenko in 4th place tries to overtake Kosiak for the bronze.
I'm actually surprised. Typically, Tom, coach will put the best gymnast up later, and I thought that Kosiak was a little bit better than this guy in the warm-ups at least. Doesn't do as many of those amazing release skills. Two in a row right there, but certainly not of the difficulty that we just saw from Kosiak. His dismount, he'll do it with only a full twist, but nicely done.
You know, Tim, it may not have had all the great skills as Kosiak, but it was clean, it moved. I mean, you really couldn't take a whole lot away from this routine.
And waiting his turn, John Rothlisberger will be up next with his floor exercise. And the score for Shemenko, 9.45. Rothlisberger when we return.
Hi.
What was already a sparse crowd has dwindled to only a hearty few in San Jose. The final event, John Rothlisberger on the floor exercise.
And Tom, it's been a tough day for John, as we've all seen, but if it's any consolation, he is ending the competition on his best apparatus.
But floor exercise is also the most demanding physically and the most tiring. The first event today, I said he kind of ran out of gas. Can't run out of gas in floor exercise, or it's big trouble. Big mount here. Oh, very difficult, but not quite enough juice to get that around. 2 flips, 2 twists. These multiple forward skills, very common in gymnastics today. Almost every gymnast using some variation of that tumbling pass. The routine is, of course, choreographed, so John gets a little bit of a breather in his last corner here. Floor exercise routine must last between 50 to 70 seconds. Only the dismount remaining. He'll also do a full twisting double somersault, same one we saw from Josh Stein. Needs a lot of energy here. No problem. Good exercise from John Rothlisberger, but just a little bit off, kind of the way he's been all day long today.
As you said, Tim, just not enough oomph to get that double-double in off the top of his routine. Falling just a little bit short, but that's a tough move.
And look at all that has to happen in one piece of air, but not enough, and that's a big step forward, at least 2/10 of a point.
I'll talk to you in a minute. That was a nice routine. For being fat.
For being what, fat?
No, that was a nice routine for being so chubby.
Who told you I was chubby this time?
No, I just...
Dad cutting no slack.
Yeah, actually a lot of people have criticized John for being a little bit overweight at times, and John doesn't really like that criticism too much at all. But this is actually a moment of truth for Korobczynski. He's got a huge routine, does a lot of releases, and as we've said, when you release, you also got to regrasp, or it's big trouble right here. That's 2, and 1 more. It's great stuff. You gotta like this guy, you know? He basically just has to get through the routine, nothing special to come out on top. He knows that, but he does exactly what he's planned. It's like in your face and stick the landing to boot.
Yeah, he had his game face on for this last routine. No other guy attempted 3 release skills today in his routine. Not the cleanest, but certainly got the job done.
The thing I like about it, as I said, though, is the guts. He didn't need to do all of this to win. But as an athlete, you want to go out there and you want to show your very best. He does 3 in a row, as you said, a little bit sloppy, but very exciting.
And that should wrap it up for Igor Korobczynski. Needed only 9 to win. He gets a 9.50. John Rothlisberger will finish second to Igor. Another international disappointment. Korobczynski 56.85 to beat Rothlisberger with Kosiak third. Marianne Grabavoy now with John Rothlisberger as the U.S. team finishes behind the Ukrainians.
You're a pretty angry young man, and you felt that the U.S. team needed to get it in gear, and today they didn't do it.
Well, no, we didn't. We had a few too many mistakes, but this is a young team that was out here today, and they got some good experience, and it's definitely going to help. The Ukraine's the 3rd best team in the world, and it's great to get out and have a chance to compete against them. And, you know, we're going to be back at Worlds, and we're getting better. Despite the loss, we're definitely getting better.
Olympic gold medalist Trent Dimas will give us an exhibition when we come back to San Jose. The last U.S. man to win an Olympic gymnastics gold medal, Trent Dimas, is now attempting a comeback. But who could forget the drama of Barcelona, as John Tesh and Tim Daggett called it.
The point of view of his coach, Trent Dimas' coach, Ed Birch.
Hit those positions.
Hit those positions and catch that bar. That's what Ed Birch is trying to get across to Trent Dimas here.
The United States' last hope for a medal on the last event.
Here it comes. He's got it.
Toes.
on their feet in the Palau San Jordi for American Trent Dimas.
Well, I got to tell you, I think it was the best routine we've seen so far.
There's one of the co-leaders, Grigori Masutin.
Triple back somersault. He stuck it cold, did the 3 major releases.
6 judges, the high and the low, a 9.875. If they ended it right now, Trent Dimas would have a gold medal. Masutin in second place.
We did it, man. We did it.
And of course, Trent would claim the gold medal. He's been away from gymnastics for a while, attempting a comeback, and now here in San Jose, back on the high bar for an exhibition.
And Trent's going to show us just about the same routine that made us all get chills a few years ago. Here comes that release. A little less pressure today. I think Trent's biggest challenge leading up to the Olympic Games is all the distractions. He has so many opportunities now, and he's got to stay focused and do what he did to win that gold medal the first time, which is get into the gym and train.
Can he make it, Elfie?
Well, he certainly has the moxie. He's very confident, and he will be the first one to tell you that he will definitely be there. He is very sure of himself.
Yeah, baby, back on track. Back on track.
Is he back on track?
Well, on this event, there's no doubt Trent Dimas is one of the best. He always will be. Huge Kovacs right there.
And right now he's with Marianne Grabavoy.
Woo! Pretty awesome.
Felt damn good, damn good. It's been a long time training and getting my body back in shape, but I know I'm there. It's just a matter of time before I get myself back on that team and on the road to Atlanta.
How much time have you taken off after Barcelona?
2.5 years straight. I mean, I'm not talking about little gymnastics. I was a couch potato. But now I'm ready to roll.
When did you actually decide to make a comeback for Atlanta?
Well, it was during the Winter Olympics. I said to myself, do I want to watch gymnastics on television or do I want to be there? And by God, I want to be there.
I gotta tell you, a lot of people must say, you gotta be kidding, there's no way you can do this.
Everybody's saying that, and that just gives me the more strength to come back and kick some serious butt. I can't say anything about anybody else. The guys did a pretty good job here, but they're gonna have to work harder than this to beat me because I'm gonna be working my butt off.
Got a fire in your belly?
You got it. Every day I'm gonna be training 3 times a day. If they're not training 4 times a day, they're not gonna beat me.
U.S. Nationals in a month and a half. Will you be there?
I will be there, strong, ready to roll. I'm going to be on that team.
We'll watch for you. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
And we'll be at the U.S. Nationals as well to see if Trent Dimas and others can make it for the U.S. title. Now this is Tom Hammond for Tim Daggett, Elfie Schlegel, and Marianne Grabavoy saying so long from San Jose.